Nano Limited, NNDM, CEO Yoav Stern on Q2 2021 results, earnings call transcript August 18, 2021 12:12 p.m. ET. Nano Limited, NNDM 1 comment. Nano Limited, NASDAQ. NNDM, Q2 2021 earnings conference call August 18, 2021 9 a.m. ET. Company participants: Yoav Stern, CEO and Chairman. Yael Sandler, CFO. Conference call participants. Operator. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by. All participants are at present in listen-only mode. Welcome to today's conference call to discuss Nano Dimension's second quarter 2021 financial results. On the call with us today are Yoav Stern, CEO and Chairman, and Yael Sandler, CFO. Before we begin, may I remind our listeners that certain information provided on this call may contain forward-looking statements. And the safe harbor statement outlined in today's earnings press release also pertains to this call. If you have not received a copy of the press release, please view it in the investor relations section of the company's website. Yoav will begin the call with a business update, followed by a question and answer session, at which time Yael will answer questions regarding the second quarter 2021 financial results. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded, August 18, 2021. I will now like to hand over the call to Mr. Yoav Stern. Mr. Stern, would you like to begin? Yoav Stern. Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the call, and good morning, I assume North America, good afternoon in Israel and Europe, and good evening in the West, in the East, where we have shareholders all over. So, I will not refer to the numbers other than in mentioning it. I will basically go along the message to the shareholder which I wrote, which is long. But I recommend to everybody, other than if they are going to listen today, which will be great, to read it very carefully. I incorporated there a lot of information, and read, which is all, by the way, subject, of course, to all the regulations of what can be published and whatnot. So, read the lines, and read between the lines. There's a lot of information there, and it's very. The company, Nano Dimension, it's a unique business. It's a startup with outstanding and unprecedented disruptive status. And it comes out from three factors which I described in the news release. And it's important to understand those three factors, with each one of them stand by itself, but in three of them combined together they have an exponential ability to inflate value over time. So, the first is, of course, our technologies, which are by now a combination of the robotic brain with self-learning, self-correcting higher yield, enabling higher yield printing for 3D printers, and both in electronics and otherwise. And we are in the process already of implementing it in our acquisitions of Nano Fabrica, which will also have the robotic brain soon. So we will be, probably within the first few, if not less than few companies, that in the industry of additive manufacturing, which is estimated at $30 billion industry in size and growing, that will have machines that are totally intelligent with deep learning and machine learning. When you ask yourself what is this technology going to do, either in both for the electronic industry, which is more complicated, and for other industries which are a bit less complicated. Take into consideration the metaphor of the PDF files, which I'm sure all of you are very familiar. The PDF files compared to the printing houses, small printing shops of 20 to 30 years ago, which were printing brochures, which were printing documents, which was printing your contracts and sending it to your lawyers through FedEx. Everything disappears, everything disappeared, I'm sorry. There's PDF file. The PDF file is the design file of an electronic component, or it's the design file of a non-electronic three-dimensional other component or part. It is now flying all over the world through the cloud, of the cloud, in the cloud. You don't move things around, you just print them when you need them, where you need them. Who would have thought about that 20 to 30 years ago? Some of you 20 to 30 years ago were in kindergarten, but the people who were in business, like us, it didn't exist. And I'm not speaking only about inventory on the cloud, but the ability to convert inventory so fast from the digital format into the analog format, which is the paper, the books, the newspapers, whatever it is. This is what our combination of material technology and process technology and electronics, and printing technologies and additive manufacturing in general, both together, controlled by a robotic brain which we acquired through an acquisition of DeepCube, is going to deliver to the industries that are incorporated in what I described to you earlier. A revolution like this did happen in, as I mentioned, in the printing industry. It took this revolution, which started in 1970s in Israel, with a company called CTEX, was one of the first company to do digital printing, and it took 30 years. So by now it's 2020, is 40 years after the 70s 80s, and digital printing is all over the world. And this is where we are today with our technologies. I don't think it's going to take 30 years to turn on the industry, we're already much ahead of that. The world learned from the printing industry. And I think we are within years of this revolution occurring, very exciting. That's point number one, we are there ahead of, probably, everybody else I've seen, in a material way because of the robotic brain and because of the process and the printing technology. Now, the second point, point B, and a few factors that makes us unique, while being a startup really, is we have $1.4 billion of financial reserves. You will see and you will hear a lot, especially on last year and a half, where the market is so high, and money is chasing deals about unicorns in the private market, when people announce that they just raised money for a private company with a valuation of $2 billion or $3 billion. That is not us. Those people raise $100 million or $200 million or $300 million, it's very high valuation. That's not what we've done over the last year with your help. We raised $1.4 billion, we didn't raise $100 million or $200 million. We are in a position today that we have enough fuel to fly all the way to the target, be it 2 or 4 years or even more. We have the ability to do it without raising more money, without needing to dilute shareholders anymore, and with the ability to spend as much as we need without focusing necessarily on quarterly results and advancement, and, indiscernible, is actually the way to measure one indication of our success as if we're able to spend more in the areas of RAND and go to market. And believe me, it's not easy because bringing the people in, and we insist on bringing in mostly stars, PhDs, scientists, etc. A baby to grow from 70 scientists to 130 is not simple, notwithstanding the money, that we obviously are not paying millions of dollars to people who join us. We have to be in control, or under control, but we need to get them, and there's competition on manpower, and especially the manpower in the sophistication areas of the deep learning, machine learning as well in the process and materials. So, this is our success for now. And of course, behind that numbers, the achievements we have in our RAND and the product as we develop, and we're very close to releasing.